Thank you and staying with us. Rob, before the break, you're talking about the wraparound services. It's not just the roof over someone else's head. Can you talk more about that?
Well, initially when we started this journey, we thought it was all about providing shelter because we come from the development industry. It's all about providing the home. But what I learned through this whole process, that the wraparound services, the care by the YWCA or the Salvation Army or all the other non-for-profits is actually much more important because you need that to get yourself through that part of life.
So what sort of care are you talking about?
Well, again, that's not the expertise that we provide. That's why
Yep.
we will always do it together
Yep.
with a not-for-profit.
Yep.
We do the shelter piece,
Yep.
and they will do the wraparound services. So before we look at a building, before we start a building,
Yep.
we always find our partner first,
Yeah.
and they tell us the demographic that they're after, and then they provide the brief to refurbish the empty building for a period of time.
So they actually tell you the demographic.
Yeah.
Wow.
We did one in the eastern suburbs with Henley homes, an
Yeah.
old convent that was lying empty. Peppercorn lease for $5. Henley came through and did everything, including the furniture, and now it's managed by Good Shepherd for family violence, which includes kids.
Yeah.
So there's so much demand there's so much demand. That's all I can say, and we all need to contribute to do this because we should be calling this as a national emergency. The trouble is we're allowing it to normalise, so therefore we accept it. But I've got no doubt, if we allow this to continue, we are heading for civil unrest because people are going to get desperate. And to be fair to governments, they've only got 3 and 4 year terms. That's their window. Business looks at long term. This is something that business must lean in if we're going to reshape this for the benefit of our grandkids. Because the affordability thing, and this is what frustrates me with government, they make the announcement, this is not Labor or Liberal, this is across the board, right? Make this announcement, but you can't turn on a tap to produce housing. It takes a long lead time. That's why I think what we're doing is so obvious. I remember Wendy Harmer saying on Sydney radio one day, talk about using these empty buildings because we're on the City of Sydney's competition. It's a bit of a no-brainer, isn't it? It's a short-term pressure relief valve while we build the housing our country needs. And we must have a short-term release valve. And to me, a building lying there empty when we're in a housing crisis is just like food wastage.
Okay, so then, because what that brings to mind then, in COVID, didn't we take people off the street and put them in the housing?
In hotels.
In hotels?
Because the hotels were empty.
Okay. But the point was we could do it.
Yes, we could do it. Now, that, again, to put a whole thing in context, the hotel rooms didn't have kitchens. It's just a short-term measure. It's not a suitable long term. But we did take them off the street.
Yeah.
So the thing is, and this is, again, going back, everyone's arguing about this 1.2 million, and let me put some numbers around this, 1.2 million homes that we're targeting across the country. Just be very clear, that's market homes. And you have people saying...
What do you mean market homes?
Homes generally that people can afford to buy.
Okay. Oh, $1.2 million.
No, 1.2 million homes. The federal government's put a target out there.
Okay.
Their objective is to try and get 1.2 million homes built by a certain time frame.
Do we know how long?
Yeah, I think it's 29, I think. I can't recall the exact time.
So 4 or 5 years.
Yeah. So, but all the criticism is that they're running behind schedule. Now, what's wrong with having ambitious targets? I would rather have an ambitious target and fail and have a target that I reach easily, and therefore I'm happy. So as a country, there's nothing wrong with ambitious targets. But the point I was trying to make, that is market homes. There was a report done for the federal government in 2021 during Scott Morrison's era for the organisation called the National Housing Finance Corporation, which is now Housing Australia. And it quantified the shortfall in social and affordable housing, not market, as a $290 billion investment needed over the next 20 years. That equated to 44,500 social and affordable homes built every year for 20 years, starting from 2021. The Housing Australia Future Fund, and that's a good initiative that started the process, is aspiring to build 11,000 homes every year for 5 years. So where's the 33,500 shortfall going to come from?
You see, you're talking a lot of numbers and my mind's just...
We are still heading for disaster. We're not building enough. We're not even targeting it.
How can we put that into a something succinct? Because, you are a numbers man, you're a developer, you've been in real estate. how can we language that into a very, what am I trying to say here?
Well, again, trying to put it very simply,
Yes.
there is a
Yeah.
report done that said we need to build 44,500 social and affordable homes, which are
Yep.
subsidised homes
Yep.
every year for 20 years. The current government is doing what they can, but
Yep.
they're only aspiring to build 11,000.
Yep.
We're 33,500 short every
Every
year
year.
just in the subsidised space.
Yep.
Put aside the actual other target the government set of 1.2 million, which has been public, it's been around the public. So all I'm saying, we're not aspiring to actually solve the problem by picking a target that we know is there to try and solve the problem. So we're still in catch-up mode. All that says, if you project forward, we're not only in a worse affordability problem in, say, 10 or 20 years, we're in a crisis where society is polarising.
Oh,
We're
that's
going to be
the
heading
part.
for civil unrest
That's the part I want to get
and
on
live in
to.
a society that after our life, I wouldn't want to leave that for the kids because that's going to be too dangerous. And that's where we're all heading towards. And that's something that once you start on this journey and you realise you learn what you didn't know, you feel compelled to share it to bring others on the journey. And that is part of our objective, is to educate.
So let's go back to these services, because I have obviously done some research on this, and some of the research, it's something like 40% of people that are homeless or at risk of homelessness can't even access the services, because the services just don't have enough resources to actually allow them to come into the door.
That's true.
Yeah.
One of the negatives about reusing existing buildings to shelter people is that you need a government funding for the wraparound services, and they have to find it. So it's always that is the funding part where they need money to pay the YWCA, the Salvation Army. What we do is all pro bono. In other words, we've got an existing building. Metricon mentioned we got free plaster, free ceramics, free tiles, free labour, free paint from Dulux.
Okay, so let's look at the various companies, big and small, that are contributing.
Oh, there's so many to mention, but you've got the Metricons, the Henleys, Mirvac, Better Living Group.
And what do they do?
They're all builder developers.
Okay, so they've got the builders?
Yeah,
the
then you've got
buildings?
Dulux supplying the paint for us across the country.
Yep.
We've got Linen House that do linen and bed sheets. We've got Kent Removal and Storage that are now going to move all the furniture that we need around the country.
Where's the furniture coming from?
Quest Apartment Hotels and the hotel industry, when they refurbish hotels, the furniture goes in the tip.
Yeah.
So we're now reusing all that furniture. So talk about circular economy.
Yeah.
It's about using the same resources, and we can all do it for free.
Okay.
But you ask someone for cash, that's a very difficult thing to get out of anybody.
But I also read that some of these companies, they are that word?
Philanthropy.
Thank you. Like 250,000, because money is needed to refurbish. Is that correct?
There is a lot of philanthropy out there
Yeah.
to help some of these charities.
Yeah.
Right. But the philanthropy will never solve the problem. Philanthropy is just an incubator for innovation.
No, but in refurbishing the buildings.
Yeah, we don't use any money.
No?
Hardly any cash. Some cash, yes, because we haven't got the whole private sector on board.
Okay.
Because if every business, because this is a business issue, if every business provided their services to housing all Australians pro bono, we could do it for nothing.
Hang on, say that again slower.
If you wanted to build a house,
Yeah.
and all the suppliers and all the labourers said, we'll do it for free, just like Henley does every year when they do the auction for the Good Friday appeal. It's all done for free.
Okay.
If we do that across the country, then the private sector can actually build things at no cost, right? Now, it'll never solve the problem, but it shows government that we don't need them. And what does reverse psychology say? Well, then government comes and says, well, how do we help you?
But it does solve the problem short term, does it not?
For some, but we need to do it at scale. This is a scale problem. Australia's got 122,000 people that are deemed to be homeless by the ABS.
Okay, hold that thought. I'm going to take another break because I want to come back and find out from you roughly how many buildings you reckon are empty and could be turned into how many thousand apartments or whatever. Stay with us.